Heidi de Schepper was a 26-year-old Belgian mom from Merksem, a city near Antwerp, who vanished in 2010, but whose disappearance wasn't reported for 14 years. She had a turbulent early life, including a difficult childhood and time spent in institutional care. At 18, Heidi cut off contact with her biological family and moved in with her much older boyfriend in the municipality of Balen. And trust me when I say it, this relationship is extremely weird and disturbing, but I'll get to that in a moment. By 2008, the couple were living together in Balen, along with their 3 young children, then ages 2, 3, and 7. Described as leading a very isolated life with few social contacts, Heidi largely kept to herself and was not close with others beyond her immediate household. In mid-2010, Heidi de Schepper disappeared suddenly and without any warning. According to a friend, she vanished from one day to the next, along with all of her personal belongings. Her live-in boyfriend, who was also the father of her children and maybe her adoptive dad, later confirmed that Heidi went missing in 2010, but tellingly no one reported her missing at the time. Not a single family member, friend, or even her partner contacted police when she vanished. Her ex-boyfriend did inform a social services office that she had moved away so as not to draw government benefits checks in Heidi's name for their children, but that was it. As a result, the disappearance went entirely unnoticed by authorities for years. In fact, official records even gave the illusion that Heidi simply moved away. The last administrative trace of her was the collection of a provisional driver's license on the 6th of May, 2010. It's unclear if Heidi herself picked it up. That license was never upgraded to a permanent one, and her identity card expired in 2011 without renewal. By November 2010, someone had informed the local Balen government that Heidi was no longer living at her registered address. After a routine check by government officials, her name was removed from the population register. Administratively, it was as if Heidi de Schepper had moved away or ceased to exist in Belgium. This bureaucratic deletion meant Heidi's absence didn't raise alarms. It was only by chance, nearly 14 years later, that the truth came to light. In late 2023, a report from the school of one of her children alerted authorities that the mother had been inexplicably absent for a very long time. This triggered a belated missing person investigation. In January 2025, Belgian federal police finally issued a public appeal for information on Heidi de Schepper's disappearance. The case immediately gripped Belgium, with headlines asking how a young mother of 3 could vanish for 14 years without anyone noticing or reporting it. Police revealed that despite extensive inquiries over the past year, they had found no trace of Heidi, not in Belgium nor abroad. About 20 tips have come in since the case went public, mostly from people who knew Heidi in the past. But so far no breakthrough has been achieved. Scrutiny quickly centered on Heidi's boyfriend, not only because he was the last person to see her, but because of the unusual and unnatural nature of their relationship. This man had originally been Heidi's foster parent, some reports even say adoptive father, before their relationship turned romantic. After divorcing his then wife, who had been a mother figure to Heidi, he began a relationship with Heidi, who was by then a young adult. According to one source, he indicated, quote, "Heidi was once my foster daughter. After I divorced my wife, I started a relationship with Heidi. Heidi was already pregnant with our first child at the age of 19. This disturbing guardian-turned-boyfriend dynamic has prompted shock and outrage in the community and online. Many find it extremely difficult to give the ex-boyfriend the benefit of the doubt given this background. The boyfriend has consistently denied any involvement in her disappearance, insisting that Heidi left of her own accord. He claims their relationship had deteriorated in 2010 due to Heidi's drug problem. By his account, Heidi was struggling with an addiction to meth, which put a strain on their household. And let's just be clear here, this is by his account. And at present, there's no public records confirming she did have a substance use problem. This prompted him to issue an ultimatum. Choose between substances or the children. He says that after he confronted her and demanded she get help, events came to a head. In June 2010, right before the summer holidays, Heidi picked up the children from school and dropped them off with his parents, telling them only, "I'm gone." She took some clothes she needed and any cash that was in the house, and then vanished. The ex-boyfriend claims that he never spoke to her or saw her again. Given the extraordinary delay in discovering Heidi de Schepper's disappearance, the case has generated intense speculation in Belgium. Police have publicly acknowledged 3 broad scenarios and say they're not ruling anything out at this point. One theory is that Heidi left intentionally to escape her circumstances. Supporters of this idea point out that she took personal items and cash, suggesting a voluntary departure. It's conceivable she felt trapped by her addiction, her troubled relationship, or her isolated life, and decided to disappear to start over. Her former boyfriend leans toward this explanation, even speculating that she might be alive and well in another country, and has suggested she may have relocated to Spain. There are, however, serious doubts about Heidi having orchestrated a fresh start. She had no known income or outside support at the time, and crucially, she never again contacted her children. Friends say Heidi was a devoted mother and would never simply abandon her kids. That said, all reports suggest that these friends were more acquaintances than anything, and may not have had a great deal of insight into her inner working. Another possibility is that Heidi met with some form of tragic incident not caused by a third party. Perhaps overwhelmed by her substance problem and domestic struggles, she may have perished either accidentally or on purpose. If her body was never found, or was found in another country, she may have been registered as a Jane Doe and still undiscovered until this day. By far the most discussed theory, both in the media and on online forums like Reddit, is that Heidi was the victim of foul play. Given the disturbing circumstances of her life, many have zeroed in on the ex-boyfriend. The fact that he was in a position of trust and authority as her one-time foster father or even her adoptive dad, and then entered a relationship with her is deeply troubling. On top of that, his decision not to report her missing and the convenient way her absence was kept off the radar raised serious suspicions. It's been widely noted that he effectively had years to cover any evidence if he had harmed Heidi. Some commenters online have noted that the most dangerous time in a domestic violence situation is when the individual tries to leave the abusive partner. The ex-boyfriend may have fabricated a story about an ultimatum about her substance use during the 14-year gap, knowing the evidence would be stale by the time authorities investigated. It's notable that authorities took the step of detaining and interrogating him in January 2025 as part of the reactivated investigation. In my view, any of the theories put forth here could be accurate. It sounds like Heidi was kept as a virtual prisoner by her adoptive father-turned-boyfriend, and for obvious reasons I can see why she wanted to escape this situation. However, given that she likely wanted to escape, and given that domestic situations tend to reach their crescendo during these times, it's clear why the ex-boyfriend may have done it. That said, the possibility of an accidental overdose or even an intentional ending also can't be simply written off. Unfortunately, Heidi lived a life of abuse and neglect from the moment she was born, and the weight of the world may have simply crushed her. Anyway, I'm hoping to have an update on this case in the near future. Hey everyone, it's Jimmy here with a reminder to hit that subscribe button and share this video with 2 people you know. Also, quick special shout out to new shout out tier YouTube member Yurev. The Manipogo is a legendary lake monster said to inhabit Lake Manitoba in, you guessed it, Manitoba, a hellishly cold province in central Canada. The creature's name was coined around 1960 by combining Manitoba with Ogopogo, referencing a similar serpent-like monster in British Columbia, Canada. In local lore, Manipogo is described as a long, serpentine animal with several humps visible above the water and a head often likened to that of a horse or sheep. Indigenous communities had long told stories of giant water creatures in Lake Manitoba, and the legend was later adopted into the Manipogo folklore. The first documented sighting by a non-Indigenous person was in 1909, when Hudson's Bay Company fur trader Valentine Mackay claimed he saw a massive creature in the lake. Reports continued over the following decades, and by 1960 the monster had gained enough notoriety that it gained its current name. Around the same time, reports from neighboring Lake Winnipeg described a similar creature nicknamed Winnepago. It was thought to likely be the same animal moving between these two connected lakes. In 1962, two fishermen snapped a photograph of a long, snake-like form in Lake Manitoba, which remains the only purported photo of the monster to date. And I would tell you to look at your screen right now, but I'm 95% sure that this is just a literal tree branch. So by all means, take a look at your screen if you're not actively watching, but don't say I didn't warn you. In 1997, a man claimed he shot a 50-foot lake creature and that authorities secretly hauled the carcass away, a sensational story never verified by officials. Personally, I have to wonder what sort of hand cannon this dude claimed to be carrying that could take down a 50-foot creature. I'm guessing he didn't think this story through before he went to the authorities with it, because that's the size of a whale, and you can't just start blasting and hope to take down a whale. Reports of unidentified humps in the water still surface occasionally. During 2011 floods, some locals thought they saw Manipogo, but they were likely spotting drifting logs. The legend is so popular that Lake Manitoba's west shore even has a Manipogo Provincial Park, and the community of St. Laurent hosts an annual Manipogo Festival each March. And yes, if you've been watching my content for a long time now, you'll recognize this pattern. A cryptid goes viral in a specific location, maybe incites a bit of terror for a time, and then becomes a beloved local mascot. Skeptics believe most sightings can be explained by misidentifications of ordinary things. Floating logs, windswept waves, or swimming animals such as otters or moose can create the illusion of a multi-humped lake creature. A moose swimming with its head and back above water might even be mistaken for a monster, and its grunts could sound like an eerie wail to someone on shore. Lake Manitoba is also home to sturgeon that can exceed 10 feet in length. An aging giant sturgeon surfacing could account for sightings of a long, dark shape moving in the water. Folklore has also shaped the Manipogo legend. The very idea of a lake monster in Manitoba may have been inspired by indigenous oral traditions about water serpents. These tales, passed down through generations, primed people to interpret unusual sights on the lake as the fabled creature. Searches by researchers have never uncovered any physical trace of an unknown giant animal in Lake Manitoba or Lake Winnipeg. The urban legend known as the White Death is a piece of contemporary internet folklore that has made its rounds on various social media platforms since the early 2000s. While the exact origin and author of this story remain unknown, it's commonly classified as a creepypasta or a short horror story shared online. However, like other creepypastas such as Slender Man, as time has passed, the original fictional nature of the narrative has been forgotten and it's entered the realm of urban legend. At its core, the White Death story revolves around an elusive, vengeful entity that allegedly appears to those who become aware of its existence. According to the narrative, once a person learns about the White Death, this supernatural being is said to stalk them relentlessly, with the sole purpose of erasing any knowledge of itself from the world. The legend claims that the entity does not simply end its victims, instead it tears them apart, removing all traces that they ever existed, including photographs or records. The victim, in essence, vanishes so completely that they become an absence rather than a memory. This concept, an entity that hunts you purely for the crime of knowing it, plays deeply into the psychological fear of forbidden knowledge and inescapable fate. The White Death is usually depicted as a girl or a woman with an unsettling appearance. In many versions of the tale, she's said to have pale skin and hollow eyes, giving her a ghostly or cadaverous look. While traditional urban legends often involve more tangible supernatural beings that reside in a specific location, the White Death can supposedly track victims anywhere in the world. The only prerequisite for attracting it is becoming aware of it, hearing the story or reading about it, thus turning the very act of knowing into a fatal vulnerability. This aspect of the legend has made it popular among internet readers who enjoy psychologically driven horror. The White Death's growing legend can be attributed to a number of interrelated factors. First, it plays on the fear of forbidden knowledge, the idea that simply knowing something can put you in mortal danger. This concept resonates with classic horror tropes, such as cursed objects or forbidden books, but relocates the threat to the digital age, where information is abundant and easily accessible. The inevitable nature of the creature is also a major factor that adds to the power of the legend. Unlike other ghost-related urban legends where the entity is tied to a specific location, you can't just simply leave a location and escape the White Death. The entity instead lives inside your head so long as you have knowledge of it. On the bright side, I'll solve this mystery for you right now. The White Death isn't real, and it can't hurt you. It's a cool and creepy modern internet urban legend, though, at least in my view. Pyramid power refers to the idea that pyramids, whether ancient structures like the Great Pyramid of Giza or modern replicas, have unique energy properties. These properties are thought to be capable of preserving, healing, and even enhancing human life. The fascination with pyramids dates back thousands of years. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built around 2560 BC during Egypt's 4th dynasty, has always been a source of wonder due to its scale, precision, and just general mystery. While ancient Egyptians likely constructed the pyramids as tombs for pharaohs and monuments to their gods, their purpose became a focal point for speculative theories over time. And just to put things in perspective for a minute here, when ancient Romans, Greeks, and Persians looked at the Great Pyramids, it was ancient history to them. The modern concept of pyramid power gained traction in the 20th century. Much of it is attributed to Antoine Bovis, a French hardware store owner in the 1930s. And not to throw shade on being a hardware store owner, but as far as an occult backstory goes, that's pretty weak. Bovis reportedly visited the Great Pyramid and noticed that dead animals found inside appeared mummified rather than decayed. He hypothesized that the pyramid's unique geometry created an environment conducive to preservation. Inspired by this observation, Bovis experimented with scale models of pyramids and claimed they could mummify organic matter, sharpen razor blades, and even improve health. The idea went viral in the 1970s through Patrick Flanagan, a New Age author and inventor. Flanagan's book, Pyramid Power: The Secret Energy of the Ancients, popularized the idea that pyramids harness a mysterious form of energy. He and others claim that pyramid energy was responsible for healing properties, increased spiritual awareness, and improved plant growth. Proponents of pyramid power suggest that pyramids generate an energy field due to their specific shape and proportions. Supporters argue that pyramid power arises from the pyramid's geometry, which supposedly focuses and amplifies universal energy or cosmic vibrations. This theory is grounded more in metaphysical beliefs than science, though New Age advocates generally suggest that the theory is supported by science and geometry. Advocates frequently compare pyramid energy to concepts like qi in Chinese medicine or prana in Indian philosophy, that is to say, vital forces believed to flow through all living things. Some proponents suggest that the pyramid acts as an antenna for these energies, channeling them into a concentrated area. Despite its popularity among enthusiasts, pyramid power lacks a clear, testable mechanism. The claims often rely on anecdotal evidence and subjective experiences rather than rigorous experimentation. The scientific community has been skeptical of pyramid power since its inception. Researchers have tested many of the claims, but have consistently failed to find evidence supporting the existence of a unique pyramid energy field. One of the earliest and most enduring claims is that pyramids preserve organic material. However, controlled experiments have shown no significant difference between items placed under pyramids and those in similar conditions outside pyramids. Factors like airflow, humidity, and temperature are more likely to explain the observed effects. In the 1970s, scientists tested the idea that pyramids could sharpen dull razor blades, a claim advocated for by some pyramid power proponents. Studies revealed that any perceived improvement in blade sharpness was subjective and likely due to psychological bias. The physical properties of the blades remained unchanged. Some enthusiasts claim that plants grow better under pyramids, but controlled experiments have produced mixed results. In most cases, differences in growth are attributed to environmental factors, not pyramid geometry. Pyramid power as a tool for healing and energy enhancement lacks empirical support. While meditation under a pyramid may feel more profound for some individuals, it's been hypothesized that this is likely due to the placebo effect. I note that pyramid power as a belief system appears to have faded substantially since its heyday in the 1970s.